So hello and welcome to this webinar of the ILO Global Business and Disability Network, Bridging the Digital Skills Gap, the Disability Perspective. This is a webinar in the series of webinars of the Global Business and Disability Network. And of course, the topic is all about digital skills, or employment in the digital economy. It's a global webinar, and at the same time, we will hear also from country experiences across the world. Will joining, for example, 6 in the morning in Costa Rica and Haibin in China, 8 p.m. It's very much appreciated that we have this amazing panel with us. Just before we jump into the content of the webinar, let me introduce myself. My name is Jürgen Menze. I'm a disability inclusion specialist at the International Labour Organization, the ILO, and the coordinator of the Global Business and Disability Network. It's a network of more than 40 multinational enterprises, including Accenture and Capgemini, represented also in this webinar, and a number of national business and disability networks, including the one in China that Haibin will represent today. The whole idea is to make it easier for companies to include people with disabilities in their policies and practices, with a focus on employment, of course. Now, in this webinar, we have closed captions. For those who would like to use them, should be accessible at the bottom of your screen. Next to me, you should see one of the 2 international sign interpreters that will accompany us, Oliver. Then you will also later see Tina accompanying us throughout this webinar. There's a chat box, so feel free to use the chat to introduce yourself, who you are, where you connect from, what your interest is in this particular topic of the webinar. And I would like to ask you to put any questions you have to the panelists, a subgroup of panelists, or one particular panelist in the Q&A box function here in Zoom. Should be also at the bottom, usually, I mean, in my case, at the bottom of the screen. Feel free to put any questions you have there. And we will try to make time for questions at the end of the webinar. Panelists could also try to respond to some of the questions in writing in case we run out of time at the end of the webinar. So with that said, very excited to kick it off, so to say. We have with us today Lucie. She's a global head of digital inclusion in Capgemini. We have Will Vargas, he's Global Accessibility Practice Lead in Accenture, connecting from Costa Rica. We have Frederic Isabane, he's a Regional HR Head for CCI Global. We have Haibin Zhou, he's a coordinator of the China chapter of the ILO Global Business and Disability Network, so the Chinese National Business and Disability Network, one of more than 40 in the Global Business and Disability Network. And we have Antar, he's Organizational Development Manager at Xceed. What will happen now is that I will ask each of them 2 questions. So we engage in 2 rounds of questions and hear from them what they have been doing on digital skilling and the employment of persons with disabilities in their respective areas of work and countries. And then, as I said, we will try to make time for Q&As with you, the online audience. I see some people already using the chat. That's great. Seeing people connecting from Canada, Mexico, Rwanda, Belgium. That's great. Lebanon. So it's a truly global webinar. And with that said, let's kick it off with the first question to Lucie. So Lucie, you are working at Capgemini, one of the multinational enterprise members of the Global Business and Disability Network, and Capgemini runs a so-called digital academies program. So in a few sentences, could you please explain to us what it is, what it tries to achieve, and the success stories you have had in this digital academies program?
Sure, and thank you, Jürgen. So maybe just for those who don't know Capgemini, to tell you very briefly, we are a tech company, global, so multinational tech company, as Jürgen was saying. 340,000 employees around the globe, like around 50 plus countries. And thank you for this opportunity today, of course, to present how we actually in Capgemini address this question of the digital skills gap and how we do also to skill and integrate people like excluded today from the working place and the tech sector into this job market. So our Digital Academy is a program that's not only about training and actually about skilling, but it's also about transforming life. And I'm sure you know that a job and getting access to a decent job when you're like excluded, not having the skills, like really being very far from the employment market, can really make a difference in your life, a difference in your community. So that's what we believe in Capgemini, that access to digital skills can really transform life. So through our program, we offer tailored training programs that equip underprivileged individuals with in-demand digital skills. So the purpose is to make sure that we are, depending on the countries where we are, assessing the needs of specific people we're addressing. So, the scope of underprivileged and excluded people is very large, obviously. So we work with the CSO team and the local NGO that are really the experts on the ground to help us analyze who we can support, who we can train with in-demand skills for at least minimum 6 months of training, and then at the end provide them also the opportunity to enter in the tech sector, but also sometimes within Capgemini. So that's really our goal, to make sure that we're not only training, but we're also offering the opportunities to enter in this tech sector for people that are like very, very far from entering in the tech sector before. Some of them like have no exposure at all to the no curriculum or no background in tech. So that is what is really, really interesting with the tech skills, because you can really skill people very, very fast. But the thing is, we need to have the right ecosystem as well to do so. So that's why we work very closely with the NGO and training providers sometimes, to make sure that we are training with the right skills, the right people to have this very powerful social impact. So this is the program of the Digital Academy. So of course we are looking at very closely the question of the curriculum. Today we train on web development, cybersecurity, cloud, and of course now on AI. We set in place also some soft skills training to make sure that we have some job readiness or mentoring to make sure that the integration is working well, because obviously we work with people, for example, who been refugees, for example, in the UK, people who were for a long time in unemployment in France, or even with people with disabilities. And we know that it requires extra support from us as well to make this inclusion successful. So in Capgemini, we launched this program, the Digital Academy program, in 2018. I'm very proud to say that we've established our presence now of the Digital Academy program in more than 10 countries. And we have today 55 academies. We train more than 59,000 individuals since the beginning. And most importantly, over 8,700 of those graduates join us as colleagues in Capgemini. So just to give you very quickly some concrete example to make it also more concrete, in India, we have established more than 50 digital academies in 13 plus cities. And what is interesting in India is the fact also that we're working within the rural areas also to give some opportunities to the people that are also far from the cities. And in the UK, as I was saying, we are partnering with a great NGO which is called Code Your Future, which is really working with the refugees. So just to give you the overall presentation of this program, and then in the second question, I'll deep dive more in detail on what we're doing for persons with disability. But so far, this program that is ensuring that no one is left behind in this digital revolution, and that we're sure that we're building a more equitable digital future.
Thanks so much, Lucie. And just, I mean, I will not put words into your mouth, but just repeating one important factor that you mentioned. You're not only training, but you're also hiring those graduates from the Digital Academies program. I am very bad at math, but I think it was definitely something around 15 or 20% of those trained. So maybe in their second round of intervention,
absolutely.
You can correct me in terms of the numbers. But I think that's a very important message to also bring to other companies. So thanks so much. Now let's hear from Will, connecting from Costa Rica. So Will, you work in Accenture. Accenture is one also a member of the Global Business and Disability Network like Capgemini. And you have told me in advance of the webinar that in Accenture you focus on 4 main digital accessibility services. So could you please provide us a bit more information, details on these 4 areas of digital accessibility services in Accenture?
Sure, definitely. And thank you for having me here. And of course, thanks for all people that is joining. Well, let me start with a very quick overview of what Accenture is. Accenture is a global professional services company. We have over 700,000 employees and operate in more than 120 countries. Our work mainly focuses on the strategy, technology, digital transformation, and operations. In regards to your question, well, we have a global practice of accessibility, and at Accenture, our digital accessibility work is centered around 4, as you said, 4 main services areas that helps organizations build more inclusive digital experiences. The first one is strategy. So we support clients in defining how accessibility can be integrated into development lifecycle, of course, of the digital products. This goes beyond just policies. This is important. We help identify the right tools, processes, and even the governance models to make accessible sustainable over time. Then we have audits and or quality assurance, and we conduct both manual and automated assessments to evaluate how accessible a digital product is. Of course, this helps our clients understand where they stand in terms of compliance and usability, and of course, for people with disabilities. The third one is remediation. Once issues are identified, our experts work directly with teams to fix those barriers and ensure that digital products met those global standards like the global WCAG or Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. This is important because it is not just about ticking boxes, it's about real usability. And finally, training. I think that one is one of the critical aspects or services we have offered over the time, because we believe accessibility is a shared responsibility. So we offer tailored training for developers, testers, designers, content authors, and many other roles, like even project managers. And our goal here is to empower teams with knowledge and confidence to build accessible solutions from the start. We believe that together, these services help create a strong foundation for accessibility, and one that's practical, scalable, and of course aligned with the client's goals. So this is about the services we offer from Costa Rica, from the global practice, and about just to take a couple of seconds. This practice is something that we built around 8 years ago. We started in India. We have it here in Costa Rica group. We of course have it some experts in the United States, and now this practice is growing in Europe because a lot of it's happening there, right? So thank you for the question again, and yeah, I can give you more details if you want about the services.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Will. And yeah, thanks also for mentioning that, of course, Accenture is not only doing that in Costa Rica, where you're based and connecting from, but implementing that around the world and also in Europe, for example. Now, let's move now from, we were in Europe with Lucie, we were in Latin America. Now let's move to the African continent with Frederic Isabane. Frederic, or Freddie, I think you allowed me to call you Freddie. You're the regional HR head for CCI Global. You were today supposed to be joined by your colleague Bharat Balan. He's country head of Ethiopia. For personal reasons, he couldn't make it after all. But Freddie, So can you tell us a little bit more about mainstreaming disability issues into the work of CCI Global and what you consider are the achievements in this regard, disability mainstream in your work?
Yeah, thank you very much, Jürgen. Thank you very much, all. I will be speaking about CCI Global in general and our intervention. So we are a leading BPO organization. Basically, we receive outsourcing work from different places of the world, mainly the US, with presence in South Africa, Kenya, Rwanda, Ethiopia, Egypt, Ghana, and Botswana. As a leading BPO organizations, obviously we have many jobs to offer. So when it comes to our intervention in inclusivity or inclusion at the workplace, we consider that we've achieved quite a good number of interventions in both Rwanda and Ethiopia that we're talking about right now, where we managed to train different trainees that were received from our partners. So I'll give you an example in Rwanda, in Ethiopia. In Rwanda, we partnered with a National Union of Disability Organizations of Rwanda, where we receive candidates from their networks, we train them, and eventually get to bring them into employment at the end of the day. Same for Ethiopia. We partnered with the Ethiopian um, the Ethiopian Network of Disability Associations, which is a network that have more than 100 associations of people living with disability. We receive all their members into our space, and we train them with preparing them for job readiness, and we at the end we employ them. If we are to only talk about this year to date, or include the numbers of last year, if you want, we trained more than 80 members of these networks, and of which we managed to onboard or give job opportunities, decent job opportunities to 30% of them. Uh, so these are one of the interventions that we strongly believe constitute what we consider as achievements in terms of these interventions. And internally, we also created a committee that works on a regular basis with these organizations. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thanks, Freddy. And I think this message of collaborating with organizations of persons with disability is so key. Nothing about it without us. And thanks for your leadership in this. And I forgot to mention at the very beginning, of course, we're also grateful in this webinar for the collaboration with the Digital Skills Accelerator Africa, DSAA, because they helped us identifying companies like CCI Global, but also Xceed from Egypt, where we will hear a little bit more about their work in a bit. So again, thanks Digital Skills Accelerator Africa for your collaboration on this webinar. Now moving to the east to China. Haibin, thanks for connecting rather late in China. So you are the coordinator of the Chinese Business and Disability Network, also called the China chapter of the ILO Global Business and Disability Network. And some years ago, you set up what was coined as Digital in Demand Business Talent Compact. So what is this compact? Please explain. Thanks.
Thank you, Jürgen, for inviting me sharing the practice in China. Maybe a little bit background about GBDN China. We have 23 company members, which have employed 8,000 people with disability. And most of them are multinationals, but we have Chinese company doing well work. And when we talk with the China chapter, many company share their difficulty, people who have those skills and to work in the companies. So at the beginning, we are trying to find some solutions. And since we founded 2018, at the beginning, we worked with L'Oreal, Standard Chartered, and vocational training university in Guangzhou. We start kind of training a customer service person at the first stage. And then thanks to GBDN and GIZ and thanks to Susan Scott Parker, they support us to pilot on this digital in-demand project. In a sense, it means that we collect a group of companies who will provide skill trainings, mentorship, internship opportunity, and then we connect with vocational training schools who can include people with disability in their mainstreaming education program. So this is the idea, and since 2022, we start to pilot that. And in between, we get 2,000 youth with disability to receive self-learning online training program, and 1,000 of them got soft skill training. And we got 500 mentee with disability got one-to-one mentorship and mock interviews. And their mentors are from companies like Standard Chartered GBS, Global Business Service, and PwC, Cummins, Microsoft, Google, just name a few. And 150 of them got internship opportunity into these mainstream companies and doing some kind of work like AI, digital marketing, and also big data, web accessibility. And what we see is that it's a big change, both to the mentors or their managers to know how to work with people with disability. And mostly, I think for the youth with disabilities, they know the skill gap that needed for the mainstream market on future jobs, especially on the jobs I just mentioned. And totally, we got 14 companies to be on board on this digital compact. So this is the first stage. On the second stage, what we find is the newly development because of the COVID in 2022. Most of our work is online, but now we have the AI Academy of Wuhan University of Technology. They will provide offline training and also some platforms. And we have DeFi, Atos, Standard Chartered, Sony, Accor Hotel. Those 5 companies will be the founding member to provide fundings and courses, one-to-one mentorship, and to these offline training programs. So we are looking forward to 300 students with disability. We got certified training on big data, on AI, and also on digital marketing. So this is something developing, and I hope to share more when if people are more interested. Okay, Jürgen, this is from me.
Amazing, Haibin, and I was unaware of the latest. You said when you said this was the first chapter, the first section, and then you moved to the second one with the AI big data program. I was unaware. It's amazing. You said 300 people targeted there. Amazing work, and I mean just also the numbers: 150 people who got internships in these big companies. Many of them also members in the Global Business and Disability Network. So well done, congratulations. So let's now move back to a little bit to the west, to Egypt. Margit, you're representing the company Xceed, and I'm wondering, so how has Xceed worked to empower persons with disabilities through the topic that we're addressing, digital skills training and also employment initiatives in Egypt? And what have been the challenges, and how did you overcome these challenges in Egypt? Thanks.
Thank you for your invitation, of course, and thank you for this question. Firstly, I need to give you a brief about Egypt. Xceed is a leading Egypt company, BPO company, offering multilingual customer experience and outsourcing services to global corporations and government entities. And we are in Egypt and, of course, Morocco, Mauritius, UAE, and Saudi Arabia. And in Egypt, we are in 8 different cities, so this is a big footage for a BPO company. We believe here in Egypt that digital transformation should be inclusive. It's truly impactful, and it's truly represented the real talents that we are searching for. Over the past few years, we've taken deliberate steps to empower persons with disability through both skill development and employment initiatives. Of course, in partnership with the Digital Skills Accelerator Africa, DSAA, we've launched a targeted training programs to inject even more young Egyptians, persons with disability, within the demand of the digital competencies. And of course, this we had a very huge targets before, but the new in this part, in this collaboration with DSAA, is that we are targeting people not only to join the digital market, but to accelerate and actually to go further than joining, to get promoted and even to have a real career path with a real contribution in the digital market, not only just to join and have a decent job. That's our that's our motive for the current and the future. In that, we with DSAA, sharing their extensive experience and network across Africa to learn from the challenges where other companies had through implementing the injection of people with disabilities in the digital sector, and to we expose our successions and our challenges with them. Through this collaboration, we've been able to exchange insights, challenges, and solutions with other African partners, practically around hiring and training persons with disability, which has enriched our approach and accelerated the impact of our project. On the employment front, we've worked to create inclusive hiring pipelines within our BPO operations. And moreover, we were successfully engaging our clients from all over the world to abide with us in this initiative and to help us to inject more and more people with disabilities and to get the most benefits from their career path. So now we're not only working alone, we're working with our clients, and they are embedding our strategies through their actually companies. So I believe this helped us a lot, and this is one of the main segments we're working on. And one of the new things that may be exclusive for this meeting is that we are now trying to use the AI in the people with disabilities the careers we chosen for them, of course, with the help of the SAA in this matter.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Margaret. And I think this, what you described in the context of DSAA, so the Digital Skills Accelerator Africa, this exchange with other companies on challenges, but more importantly, the solutions, is so key. And that's something we try to do as Global Business and Disability Network in general with the company, that we have letting them share, inspiring each other, learning from each other. So thanks for pointing that out too in your intervention. So as I said at the very beginning, we have 2 rounds of questions for the speakers we have today with us. So coming back to Lucie, who started the first round, now starting also the second round. So Lucie, you explained in your first intervention what the Digital Academies program is, and that it benefits several marginalized groups in the labor market. Could you expand a little bit more about what these academies program, what these programs do specifically for people with disabilities?
Sure, Jürgen, of course. And I just wanted also to go back. I forgot to mention, our purpose in Capgemini, which is that the basics of the Digital Academy program. Our purpose is unleashing human energy through technology for an inclusive and sustainable future. So you see, really, the inclusive and the inclusion is really at the core of our purpose, and it's really a conviction. For people with disability, the thing is that, and the way also we set our Digital Academy program is to think that, if we're doing nothing, I think we'll continue to have this kind of tech tools that are not representing the richness and the spectrum of the diversity of our people. And when I think to people and to persons with disability, I think that's unfortunate. But I think this gap is still there in terms of representation. If we don't have people with disability and represent, also I'm thinking about like all the people coming from excluded communities or underrepresented communities, will not have the possibility to design the tools and of the future and of tomorrow, like they will not be adapted to the reality of our world. So that's really the core of our conviction is this one, and it's how we build the digital academy, to say how can we address this digital gap, making sure that all of them feel like included, and how can we, for those who don't have access to employment, to tech skills, like how can we work more and invest ourselves more to make sure that they will find this place in our company and in the tech sector. So I think that's really, really important. So, and I wanted also to share one number, especially in India, because it's really where we put also our efforts. The employment rate among persons with disabilities is estimated to be less than 36%. I think that's really important. You can see like how huge is this gap, and I think that all of us, like on this call, we know it already, but I think it's good to remind ourselves. And many lack access to formal skills development opportunities, and this is where our digital academics comes in, and where we work with partners. So in India, we work with Youth for Jobs. I'm sure some of you know it's one of the largest organizations providing jobs for people with disability, along with so this kind of 3 IT training that I was speaking about, like, and for us, it's the Digital Academy program. In Spain, we have another very interesting partnership, and I think it's really where also our team are really working, making a huge impact there. We're working with Once Foundation, and so we are providing also 6 months of technical training in Java for people with autism. And the name of this program is called Xtalento Digital Initiative. I think I'll share with you one anecdote, but the team was sharing with us how complex it was, because due to the severe disability and the mobility also, we really needed additional supports to overcome all the challenges we're facing, and to make sure that we'll be able to include them. And finally, we hired some of them, and I'm really proud to say, in our Barcelona office. So I think for sure what we're also keeping in mind is the fact that sometimes it requires, like, of course, more efforts to make sure we are inclusive. But I think what then these people bring into our workforce, and the way they enrich also our workforce to make sure we have this representation of diversity is crucial. And for me, it's not a nice to have. I think it's really a business imperative for tomorrow, and really to make sure that, as I was saying, we're building the right tool. In Spain, we also have a partnership with Randstad Foundation, and through this collaboration, like we're partnering for more than 7 years, we started hosting Together Awards, which honor non-profit organization advancing on equal opportunities and workplace inclusion for people with disabilities. And so beyond the digital academies, and also through our Inclusive Futures for All pillar initiative, we are also making sure that the representation of our people at Capgemini, officially recognized with a disability, impairment, or neurodivergence, increased by 65% between 2020 and 2024. So I think this progression reflects our efforts in recruiting more of this talent, adapting our jobs as an interview also processes, and encouraging more of our existing employees also to self-declare, because some of them are already having a disability, but they are also shy. So we need also to work from inside to make sure they are recognizing themselves and that they feel safe. And we recommend also they undergo this administrative recognition process. So we know there's more to do for sure, and we are continuously learning and evolving, but we are proud of the progress we've made, and even more, we're excited about what lies ahead. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Lucie. And your excitement spills over, and I think it's great. It's great that Capgemini has been shown commitment and leadership for so many years already, and just those who we don't have to convince anymore are probably in this call. But I think I just want to point out what you said. It's it's so beneficial for companies to employ people with disabilities, because it's a broader benefit of diversity and inclusion. The more inclusive a company is, the more you also have to, of course, be flexible, and that can only lead to better business results. I hope somebody who is usually not talking about disability issues is listening to you and realize, okay, it's not a one-way street. It's really beneficial for everyone here. So thanks so much, Lucie, and to Capgemini. So Will, moving to another multinational enterprise member of the Global Business and Disability Network, again, Accenture. And in fact, Accenture, in terms of number of employees, is the biggest company in the Global Business and Disability Network. So you have more than 700,000 employees, which is mind-boggling. But breaking it down for smaller companies, coming from such a big company like Accenture, what would be your key advice, your lessons learned for medium-sized or even small companies when it comes to, of course, to digital skilling, the employment of persons with disabilities?
Sure, that's a great question. I would say one of the biggest lessons we have learned is that disability inclusion is not about size. It's not really about size. It is about mindset and commitment. So what smaller companies can take from our experience is, first, the importance of awareness and education, as we have been talking during this webinar. You don't need a big budget to start building understanding around disability and accessibility. Creating a space for people to learn, ask questions, and reflect goes a long way. Second, inclusion works best when it's built into every day, whether it's how you design digital products, how you hire, or how you communicate, right? Small intentional actions can have a big impact. Also, really critical is involving people with disabilities directly into the process is key. Their lived experience helps make solutions relevant and meaningful. And that's something any company, regardless of size, can do. And I would say, finally, there are so many tools and resources already available. Many of them are free and can help companies get started right away. So for me, at the end of the day, it's not about doing everything perfectly from the start. It's about taking meaningful steps, staying consistent, and building momentum over time, right? So I would say very, very briefly, this is for Accenture what we can share with other companies, regardless, as I said at the beginning, regardless of the size, right? It doesn't matter if you're a big company like us, like Accenture or any other company, or if you're a startup, right? So the importance here is that mindset, as I said, and the interest and the commitment.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Will. I think this is really key. You said at the very beginning, the will. The will needs to be there. I mean, the will Vargas needs to be there, to the political will, to just move ahead and just try. You know, nobody does it all perfectly. We just need to be clear. Nobody does it all well. Not the companies, not the public sector. So the willingness to learn, listen to people with disabilities, learn also from their lived experiences. So thanks so much for pointing us to these important messages. Now, Freddie, we already heard from previous speakers the importance of partnerships, working with others. In the case of CCI Global, who have been the key actors, allies in making mainstream of disability issues in your company a success?
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a good question. So like it was earlier mentioned, so there's nothing about me without me. So this is a principle that we follow. Hence, would say that our main allies would be the National Union of Disability Organizations in Rwanda and the Ethiopian Network of Disability Associations Network in Ethiopia. So we basically says that these are the main allies that we're working with. However, we could not achieve our interventions without other partners. Like the DSAA, the Digital Skills Accelerator Africa. We have GIZ support for both Rwanda and Ethiopia. We have Harambe, like This is a youth employment accelerator in Rwanda. All these organizations, we work with them hand in hand to ensure that the jobs that we are creating, the impact that we are creating for the members of these networks or associations are achieved in a collaboration manner, because we understand that we can't achieve this all alone. We need these collaborations to have this achieved. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Freddie, for highlighting really the importance of collaborating with organizations of persons with disabilities. Now, Haibin, in the first round, you explained to us the digital in-demand business talent compact and more. But coming back to the digital in-demand talent compact, you're representing one of the national business and disability networks in the Global Business and Disability Network. So what would be your recommendation to other national business and disability networks around the world in how to set up and make successful a digital in-demand business talent compact? Thank you.
Okay, Jürgen, thank you for this. I think for many national business disability network, it's always a very complex work, because at the one time you need to work with companies, at the other hand you need to work with people with disability who are going to find jobs. So I have three kind of keywords I want to share. The first keywords, I would say, as a secretary or as an MBDN, we need to be humble, to be a good listener and a facilitator. Because like for our team, we are not expert in digital skills. We are not working inside the company. So as an MBDN, we have to leverage the resources and coordinate what you want, what you have at hand, and response to the company's needs. So this need a lot of listening and really be humble to open to the expert, listen to the expert. So the NBDN is in a unique position because we are close to business core interests and we respect the current reality of employability of people with disability. The second keyword I want to share is to make strategic partnership with the right person. I think from the journey, I find that the business leaders who have an open mindset about collaboration, and also in the Chinese context, they care about public interest and care about removing the structural barriers that including people with disability in the digital labor market. They have to be a very strong commitment in that. I'm very fortunate to have people from Standard Charter, from PwC, from Cummins and the Flex, Microsoft. I think those people are very wonderful to make things possible. The third thing I want to share with other NBDN is, as a team, as a secretary, you need to have a diverse team. At least you need to have personnel who facing the vocational training platform or trainees with disability. It will be much easier if they have a disability experience or they have a coherent and empowering people with disability mindset. On the other hand, you need to have a staff, or at least staff who are working closely with companies to develop the digital compact. They need to have the business experience, and you cannot only have a mindset of an NGO or DPO standpoint to make this happen. So those are the three key message I want to share. But in general, I would say you need to be consistent. For example, Jürgen, I just shared with you when we kick off the digital in demand in 2022, everything is on the online because we plan to do it offline, but at that time China is still not open the COVID policy. But after 3 years, we can see that our achievements, our consistent effort, give a lot of confidence to the companies. And now the companies go back to us because now everything in China, things are very easily online and e-commerce, AI, the digital economy. So people are very kind of looking for the future. And now they see the lack of workforces on digital skills and digital jobs. So now we are working with Wuhan University of Technology. We want to set up offline training courses so that company volunteers and also the trainers, they can go to the university and train people with disability, have a face-to-face, those kind of mentorship. So I'm looking forward to that, and I hope I can share more with other NBDN members. Yes, Jürgen, this is from me.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Haibin. And I'm sure you would be available to talk to colleagues who are now interested in setting something up like the Digital in-Demand Business Talent Compact in their country, bringing committed companies together to make it work for people with disabilities. And I think this message about staying persistent, consistent over years, not like 2 weeks or whatever, half a year, it pays off. Even though we face challenges, barriers, in the end, it will pay off. So thanks so much for this important message as well. Coming back to Egypt, Margaret. Now, looking ahead, and we're already almost at the end of the webinar, but looking ahead, especially in the context of Egyptian companies and also especially in the BPO sector, which stands for Business Process Outsourcing. So what should Egyptian companies adopt to accelerate digital inclusion of persons with disabilities within their own workforce, but also across broader service delivery models?
Okay, thank you for the question, of course. Looking ahead, Egyptian companies, especially in the BPO sector, have a unique opportunity to lead the way in digital inclusion for persons with disability. To do so effectively, I believe they should adopt 5 main strategic pillars. First of all, inclusive design thinking. I believe this is the main thing if you wish to elaborate or go further in this inclusion project. Where you need to embed accessibility from the ground up by involving persons with disability in the co-creation of the digital tools, workflows, of course, and service models. Injecting them in this ensures that solutions are not just complained, but generally usable and empowering. The second thing, of course, is the AI. AI-powered personalization will leverage the artificial intelligence to tailor trainings and onboardings and even work environments to the individual needs. This, for example, adaptive learning platforms, you can just adjust the content whenever you want and deliver based on connective and sensory profiles. This will make their life more easier and give them the empowerment to accelerate in their career path. The third thing was an astonishing discovery, actually. First of all, when we were working in this project, we were having the sense that working from home is the most solution that will help all the people with disabilities to work in a very good environment and in easy and accessible thing, as they will work from their homes. But unfortunately, we discovered that there is 2 main challenges. People with disability wish to work more in the normal working environments, and they don't appreciate working from home in a separate environment. The second thing is not all the homes where people with disability are accessible and are effectively ready for our digital needs and our equipments. So we started a new initiative, still primitive. We're using, of course, our supporting organizations like DSAA and GIZ by using the network of NGOs and see where these NGOs have small areas or places around the country where we consider them as business hubs. We go there, prepare them for people with disabilities, and prepare them actually for our requirements, clients, and of course our business requirements. And in that case, we have the 2 solutions. If you wish to work from home, we have this option, and if you wish to work from site, and our sites are far from you, we have small sites that are near to you and that are accessible, and of course fully equipped with our needed equipment, of course. The fourth thing is the African, Pan-African knowledge exchange. I believe that by exchanging more and more of our knowledge with partners and with regional networks and organizations, this will share the best practices and challenges, and scalable solutions. Egypt's BPO sector can benefit immensely from the experience of neighboring countries, especially in overcoming culture and infrastructural barriers. Last thing is the impact-driven metric and recognition. Moving beyond quota and compliance, companies should track real outcomes such as retention, promotions, and satisfaction rates among employees with disabilities, and celebrate success through ESG reporting and global recognition platforms. Ultimately, digital inclusion is just about access, it's about agency. When persons with disability are empowered to contribute meaningfully, and companies unlock their innovative and resilience and deeper connection to the communities they serve. And I think this is what I really wish other companies to have.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Margaret. And thanks so much to all the panelists who have already engaged now in 2 rounds of questions. And now thank you to all those who are listening and also put forward a few questions. I see that there are a few questions received from the online audience, some of them already answered in writing, but still, even though they're answered in writing, I would still ask the speaker who responded to it or to whom the question was asked to just give a few remarks. For example, to CCI Global, so to Freddie. The question was, what kind of training usually do you provide? I know you answered in writing, but maybe you can just also share that here in live, so to say. Freddie?
All right, thank you. So the question was on what are the interventions or what type of trainings do we provide, right? And we conduct job readiness trainings for the candidates. And in addition, for the job readiness trainings, we do soft skills. These are the 2 types of trainings that prepares the candidates for landing the required jobs opportunities that we have within our different campaigns, so we call or department in CCI. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much, Freddie. Then there was a question, since Will mentioned that there are free resources and tools available also for smaller companies. I already, in writing, I said that a lot of what we produce as Global Business and Disability Network are resources that could be used by any company, independent of size. So check out our website, businessanddisability.org. Also check out our self-assessment tool for companies, which is quite ambitious and holistic. It's still interesting for smaller companies to see where gaps are, and resources linked to the gaps are also available there. But I'm also wondering, Will, do you have any particular resources you had in mind when you were talking about free tools and resources?
Sure. There are plenty in the market, right? There are plenty in the web. One of the things that we have used, especially for website or any digital product, there are tools like, for example, SiteImprove. SiteImprove is one of the biggest tools in the market, and they have their own free tools. We also have Xceed tools. They work for, or they support, the developers that are building new website, new mobile applications, to validate that their products are meeting with the accessibility standards. So there are a couple of them that I just mentioned. Again, SiteImprove, Xceed tools, or Xceed Dev tools that works and help the development lifecycle process. I know the question was more in regard to the hiring process, and something that I can mention is there are Adobe tools that can support, for example, documentation during the hiring process that will support. So I will recommend to take a look on those Adobe tools to make sure the documents or even the Word or Office documents are accessible. For example, the Microsoft Office has a great feature to make sure that digital documents are accessible. So take that into consideration and use those features from Office or Adobe.
Great. Yeah, thanks a lot, Will. That's really good and well noted. We then got a question about, well, to all of you, all of the speakers. The person wants to know, do you prioritize certain people with certain types of disabilities? Or what was your starting point? You said from the very beginning, look, independent of the type of disability somebody has, we want to make it pan-disability inclusive to all. Or did you start with a group of persons with disabilities with a particular type of disability? It's a question we also get sometimes in the Global Business and Disability Network. I think anyone who feels they can or want to say something on this is, of course, welcome to do so. See,
if you may
Margaret,
allow me.
okay, Margaret, you first, and Lucie. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Well, of course, it was a little bit tricky in the past. In the past, we were arranging the disabilities types according to the needs. And I believe that was not the right solution to do. For example, if we have needs to customer care representatives, and we don't right now have this luxury of having software for people with visual disabilities, then we will not inject them. And step by step, it became very tight. And we ended up to only doing this for people with more movement disabilities and very, very small actually disabilities. It's something that's easy, can handle the normal tasks and responsibilities. But actually, after a while, we started to think you're not benefiting from other people with disabilities and their capabilities, because we started to understand that, for example, people with visually impairment or visual disability has a very, very good communication skills, and actually are very good communicator and very good in getting the customer satisfaction. So we did it the other way around. We started checking the power of each type of disability, and then preparing our job environment to gain the most benefits from this power. So we started using for example, the speaking or the software that speaks of course, the monitor and reading the monitors, and trained our people with disabilities who have visual impairment, and then benefits from their best communication skills, and so on. We started doing this for people with actually hand disabilities to use the voice recognition and help them to join us and benefit more from that help, even if they are not able to use the keyboard, and so on. So my answer is, yes, it's very important to know each type of disability, and of course to add each capability of this type of disability, and then to prepare your work environment to accommodate this type of disability. And I think this is the answer for that.
Thanks a lot, Margaret. Yeah, in the end, it's about what we need as persons with and without disabilities. It's about how we can be accommodated in general, including people with disabilities. Yeah, Lucie, your camera is on and you wanted to add. Please go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'll be very, very quick, but I just wanted to say that in Capgemini, because we are fighting for equal access for all, we have, of course, no hierarchy of disability. Now, one maybe best practice that I want to share that is also really helping us evolve as a company is, we have employee resource group on certain kind of causes. And so we have two for persons with disability. One is called Capability, and one that was launched more recently is neuroability. And I think these groups of employees that are also helping us evolve and learn from sometimes other person with disability themselves, or even sometimes the helpers that are having person with disabilities. They are sometimes the best experts to challenge the companies and really help us evolve in if the priority is not really focused on one of the ability and making sure we have this equal access for all. That was just what I wanted to share.
Excellent. Thanks so much. Yeah, I mean, sorry. No, look, there was one more question about AI. I will drop here in the chat a recording of a webinar we did some years ago on the benefits and also the risk of AI, because of course it's a very valid and related discussion when we talk about digital skills, digital economy. By the way, next Tuesday, there will be also an AI session here in Geneva where we bring in the disability angle. So we're coming to an end of the webinar. I would really like to thank all of you, the speakers, naturally the most, but also, of course, all of you who listened in, those who have asked questions, the international sign interpreters, my colleague Beatrice was helping in the background. And just my final conclusion first. I mean, coming back to will, the political will, it's a starting point. And I think when we talk about digital skilling, of course, the overall goal is not just skilling for the sake of skilling. It's about getting people with disabilities into good and sustainable, meaningful jobs. And I think we have heard a lot of good practices there. And we know that the digital economy is growing. More jobs are being created. Some old jobs being replaced. Of course, there's some fear around that, but more jobs will be created in the digital economy. And I think it's just fair if people with disabilities also get their fair share of that growing job market in the digital economy. So thanks so much to all of you for your commitment, leadership, and advancing the disability agenda in the global economy and in your respective countries. Take care. Until next time, have a good day. Bye.